Good morning. My name is Bill Bestpitch, and I use he, him pronouns. I have the honor of being your worship associate this morning. Please just take a moment to put your mind, your spirit, and your cell phones in worship mode. We welcome everyone here and online to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Roanoke, with a special welcome to those who are joining us for the first time. We hope that you will stay after the service for coffee in the fellowship hall, which is on the other side of those golden doors. Let's just take a second to stand up, connect with everyone watching at home. For those of you online, if you wish to share your joys and concerns during the Lifelines portion of the service, please put them in the chat in the next 15 minutes. Thanks, everyone. We acknowledge that our church resides on the traditional lands of the Tutelo and Monacan nations and was later farmed and developed through slave labor. We recognize and respect the ongoing connection to this land by generations of Black, Indigenous, and other people of color. May our gratitude and fellowship here echo and honor that rich history. And please join me in reciting our words of welcome. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you express your identity, whatever your situation in life, your experience of the holy, as you come seeking love, your presence here is a gift. Whether you are filled with sadness or overflowing with joy, needing to be alone with yourself, or eager to engage with others, all who welcome all are welcome here. And our covenant, we commit to supporting each other with respect and direct communication as we work in community to explore spiritual growth and to be a force for good in the world. Thank you.
To remember the kind of September when life was slow and oh so mellow. Try to remember the kind of September when grass was green and grain was yellow. Try to remember the kind of September when you were a tender and callow fellow. Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow. Try to remember when life was so tender that no one wept except the willow. Try to remember when life was so tender that dreams were kept beside your pillow. Try to remember when life was so tender that love was an ember about to billow. Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember, although you know the snow will follow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember, without a hurt, the heart is hollow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember that made us mellow. Deep in December, our hearts should remember and follow. Follow, 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 follow.
Thank you. Goodness, what a surprise. I'll put this a little out of the way since I'm using this one today. Good morning. I am the Reverend Jen Raffensperger, and I'm honored to, my pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am honored to serve as the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Roanoke. I'm glad that you're all here in person and online today, this first day of autumn. So to begin to our service this morning, I would like you to hear our opening words, which are an excerpt from the poem The Seven of Pentacles by Marge Piercy. Connections are made slowly. Sometimes they grow underground. You cannot always tell by looking what is happening. More than half the tree is spread out in the soil under our feet. Penetrate quietly as the earthworm that blows no trumpet. Fight persistently as the creeper that brings down the tree. Spread like the squash plant that overruns the garden. Gnaw in the dark and use the sun to make sugar. Weave real connections, create real nodes, build real houses. Live a life you can endure. Make love that is loving. Keep tangling and interweaving and taking more in, a thicket and bramble wilderness to the outside, but to us interconnected with rabbit runs and burrows and layers. Live as if you liked yourself, and it may happen. Reach out. Keep reaching out. Keep bringing in. This is how we are going to live for a long time. Not always. For every gardener knows that after the digging, after the planting, after the long season of tending and growth, the harvest comes. And as we know the seasons of the year come in their turn, we also know we have come to that time where we will light our chalice. As we join this morning with Unitarian Universalist churches and congregations across the country and the world, we light the flame of our living faith, this symbol of our living tradition. Light we now kindle, inspire us to use our powers, to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, O Spirit of love. Hello there. I am going to tighten this up a little bit so it doesn't keep swinging.
There we go. My name is Jessie. I use they, them pronouns, and I am the Director of Lifespan Faith Development here, which means that anything religious education, I usually touch or at least have an umbrella over. And I'm going to invite up our young folks or those who just want to get close and see what's going on up here. Y'all scoot in because you won't be able to see anything past this table right here. Good choice. I have something in my hands. Oh, it is a I was going to ask you guys if you knew what it was. You nailed it. It's a pomegranate. Have you guys tasted pomegranate before? Have you opened one before? Yeah, so if you've opened one before, tell me what it's like. It's kind of like bloody almost. Tons of seeds that stain your hands. What else? Is it easy? No, it's actually kind of hard. So there's a legend, a Greek myth about a woman named Persephone who ate some pomegranate seeds. Now, pomegranates are a symbol of marriage, but it's the forever part of marriage. They're a symbol of long-lasting things. And before Persephone ate these seeds, there was no winter. The sun shone all the time. Well, I mean, there was nighttime. Let's not get crazy. But it was like a nice summer day all the time. When Persephone ate this, she got tricked. And she married Hades, who rules the underworld. And we'll dig into this a little bit more when we go upstairs. But Hades said, you're going to come and live with me in the underworld. You're not going to see anybody that lives on the earth forever, just like the pomegranate. Well, her mom, who was in charge, she was the goddess of corn and harvest and all this stuff. Her mom got so mad that she made winter all the time. So it got dark early. Tell me about winter. What's winter like? Cold, snow, chilly. You can't do anything. These are all very good examples of winter. You can't grow anything. Now, we know that bulbs live underground and they're doing their thing in the winter. But winter was all the time. So did those bulbs ever grow? Nope. So compromise was reached, and we're going to talk about how Persephone managed this life in the regular world and in the underworld because of those pomegranate seeds. We're going to eat some pomegranate while we do it. We're going to open it up. We might stain our hands a little bit. Don't worry, I've got aprons if you're worried about your clothes. But because of this pomegranate, this is now a symbol of the autumn. Because we remember that Persephone is going back to the underworld, and winter, Demeter will put winter on the land again. But when she comes back in the spring equinox, we get summer again. And that's how we have seasons, thanks to one little pomegranate and a big trick. Let's go explore pomegranates.
So before our reading, I think I noticed a few more visitors joining us this morning. I just want to make sure you know you're very welcome, and we're so happy you can spend some time here with us today. This is from the Pilgrim at Tinker Creek. Most of us know where that is, by Annie Dillard. I have read that in the unlikely event that you are caught in a stare down with a grizzly bear, the best thing to do is to talk to him softly and pleasantly. Your voice is supposed to have a soothing effect. I have not yet had occasion to test this out on grizzly bears, but I can attest that it does not work on muskrats. It scares them witless. I have tried time and again. Once I watched a muskrat feeding on a bank 10 feet away from me. After I had looked my fill, I had nothing to lose, so I offered a convivial greeting. Boom! The terrified muskrat flipped 180 degrees in the air, nose-dived into the grass at his feet, and disappeared. The earth swallowed him. His tail shot straight up in the air and then vanished into the ground without a sound. Muskrats make several emergency escape holes along a bank for just this very purpose, and they don't like to feed too far away from them. The entire event was impressive and illustrates the relative power in nature of the word and the sneak. Stalking is a pure form of skill, like pitching or playing chess. Rarely is luck involved. I do it right or I do it wrong. The muskrat will tell me, and that right early. Even more than baseball, stalking is a game played in the actual present. At every second, the muskrat comes or stays or goes, depending on my skill. Can I stay still? How still? It is astonishing how many people cannot or will not hold still. I could not or would not hold still for 30 minutes inside, but at the creek, I slow down, center down, empty. I'm not excited. My breathing is slow and regular. In my brain, I am not saying, muskrat, muskrat. There, I am saying nothing. If I hold a position, I do not freeze. If I freeze, locking my muscles, I will tire and break. Instead of going rigid, I go calm. I center down wherever I am. I find a balance and repose. I retreat, not inside myself, but outside myself, so that I am a tissue of senses. Whatever I see is plenty, abundance. I am the skin of water the wind plays over. I am petal, feather, stone.
Thank you.
I am never going to know a place as well as I know the place where I grew up. And I think this is probably true for many of us, even if we moved frequently, but most especially for those of us who stayed in one place for a while in our childhood. When we are young, we explore and get to know the land, even just our own yards or school grounds, a few city streets in any direction from home, or a nearby favorite park. I think that we learn the land in a way we often do not as adults. One of my very first assignments in seminary was to take a beauty walk, which is a slow and mindful practice of observation. We were invited to take this walk either near our homes or near the community centers or churches where we were currently serving. Now, right before I began seminary, I had moved back into the family home to help my mother age in place. I chose to take my beauty walk near home because I found that I was struggling to love the place where I lived. Even though it was very much a mutually beneficial situation, it felt awkward and strange to me to move back into the family home after more than 20 years away. A beauty walk is pretty much what it sounds like. Take a slow, meandering journey around one particular spot, giving our attention to any small detail that might catch our eye, looking in every direction for beauty, up, down, all around us, moving through the world, not seeking a destination, but instead simply living presently in the moment. Even more than baseball, stalking is a game played in the actual present. At every second, the muskrat comes or stays or goes, depending on my skill. Can I stay still? How still? So I'm curious, as a person new to Roanoke, to learn from you that grew up here or hereabouts. Was this required reading? Did you all grow up having to read Pilgrim at Tinker Creek? Hands up if you did. Did you have to read it in school? No, it wasn't required? Okay. How many of you have read it? A lot, okay. I haven't finished. I'm working on it. I bought it as soon as I got the job. I was like, oh, it's that Tinker Creek. I had heard of it and read excerpts, but now I'm reading the whole thing. I can recommend it if you haven't read it. It is really a marvelous book. An ongoing recitation, you could say, of one person's beauty walk. It's a love letter to this valley, an unflinching look at the reality of the natural world as one person tries to suss out their place in it. I chose this particular excerpt because of these words about stillness. This morning at 8:44 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, we in the Northern Hemisphere experienced the autumnal equinox, while our neighbors in the Southern Hemisphere welcomed spring with the vernal equinox. Each equinox, 2 annually, is a singular moment in time. It is the moment when the sun is precisely over the equator as the Earth's tilt progresses. It marks the day where light and darkness are in equal measure and balance. Of course, neither the Earth nor the sun pause at this moment, and lucky for us in our continued survival. But it is a good time for us to pause, to be still, and to be present. In many pagan and other earth-centered spiritual traditions, today is the feast of Mabon. In these traditions, there are generally 8 important holidays spaced evenly throughout the year that follow the seasonal journey, which is called the Wheel of the Year. They are Mabon, observed on the autumnal equinox; Samhain, midway between the autumnal equinox and the winter solstice; Yule, or midwinter, observed on the winter solstice; Imbolc, at the halfway point between the winter solstice and the vernal equinox; Ostara, the vernal equinox; Beltane, or May Day, at the halfway point between the spring equinox and the summer solstice; Lita, or midsummer, at the summer solstice; Lunasa, or Lammas, at the halfway point between summer and fall. Again and again, we turn and we mark these points on our personal calendars and within our lives. Each season has its own emotional connections and feelings it may bring up within us. Today, Mabon, the autumnal equinox, is a time to consider what is in balance and what is out of balance in our lives. It is also one, in these earth-centered traditions, it is one of several harvest festivals, inviting reflection on all that we have planted in the earlier part of the year and giving thanks for what we are harvesting. This can be a literal or a figurative harvest for those of us who cannot keep a plant alive. And this holiday is often celebrated with a feast of seasonal foods, expressing joy for the abundance within our lives. Can I stay still? How still? It is astonishing how many people cannot or will not hold still. I could not or would not hold still for 30 minutes inside, but at the creek I slow down, center down, empty. I am not excited. My breathing is slow and regular. In my brain, I am not saying, muskrat, muskrat, there. I am saying nothing. If I hold a position, I do not freeze. If I freeze, locking my muscles, I will tire and break. Instead of going rigid, I go calm. I center down wherever I am. I find a balance and repose. I retreat, not inside myself, but outside myself, so that I am a tissue of senses. Whatever I see is plenty, abundance. I am the skin of water the wind plays over. I am petal, feather, stone. Now, this book was published in 1974, and I would say that it's highly unlikely that we as a species have gotten better at holding still in the last 50 years. Based on anecdotal observation of myself, I'm not sure the last time I held still for 30 minutes without being in some way unconscious. But of course, stillness, especially as Dillard describes it here, is not about behaving as a statue might. It is about being firmly grounded in the present moment. We can be still and observe the world around us. We can move our eyes to take in the abundance. We can sniff the breezes of fall starting to break through this heavy heat of high summer. We can feel those breezes on our skin. We can open our mouths slightly to taste what is on the air. We can curl our toes, our fingers slightly into earth or tree as we rest against it, centering ourselves, waiting for what is around us to make itself known. not by seeking it, by being open and ready to receive whatever comes. In the wheel of every year, in the course of every life, there are definitely times for action. There are times when movement is freeing to our spirits, times when we must stretch and challenge our bodies, times when we simply must dance, sometimes in spite of or because of whatever life is throwing our way and what music it is playing for us. But if we do not take time for repose, for reflection, for consideration, we run the risk of being out of balance. Balance, too, is not being still like a statue. Just as the sun and earth don't stop what they're doing in the moment of the equinox, balance is more a continual consideration and adjustment of where and who we are. If you've ever needed to ride on a bus or a subway where there were no other seats, you know how much work balance can be. Even if you have a pole or a strap to hang on to, you need to make constant fine adjustments as your environment moves around you in order to hold yourself in some semblance of stillness. Balance is not going rigid. It is going calm. Abundance is not acquisition. It is an act of noticing. Sometimes it is an act of reimagining. Weave real connections. Create real nodes. Build real houses. Live a life you can endure. Make love that is loving. Keep tangling and interweaving and taking more in, a thicket and bramble wilderness to the outside, but to us, interconnected with rabbit runs and burrows and layers. Live as if you liked yourself, and it may happen. Reach out. Keep reaching out. Keep bringing in. This is how we are going to live for a long time. Not always, for every gardener knows that after the digging, after the planting, after the long season of tending and growth, the harvest comes. Yeah. Our readings today invite us to imagine different images of home, of abundance, of harvest, of patience. At Tinker Creek, we have the muskrats and their emergency escape holes along the bank. In Marge Piercy's beautiful poem, we have the created spaces in our garden that might look like wilderness to outsiders, but that are as full of life and of action as a rabbit warren, as full of life as any house that is real or any love that is loving. When I took a beauty walk around my family home in 2017, it was the beginning of reimagining a place I had returned to with some reluctance and grew to love with a deep and complicated love. Love that is loving is complicated because to love deeply, to love a person or any being, to love a place deeply, is to learn to understand what love means when that person or place or being disappoints us or changes or fails us in some way. How often have we felt challenged to keep loving, to keep love at the center, even when we have been hurt? How often have we avoided being still and present because that means being entirely present to ourselves, and sometimes we're disappointed with or hurt by ourselves and our own actions. Sometimes love is hard because we never pause to check in on how we are loving ourselves honestly and fully and with full knowledge of our own shortcomings, the times when we have missed the mark. Live as if you liked yourself and it may happen. Reach out, keep reaching out, keep bringing in. As Unitarian Universalist, we challenge ourselves to keep love at the center of all of our values because otherwise they all ring hollow. Transformation without love is progress for the sake of progress. It's the site-building plan without the environmental impact study. Justice without love is aggrandized rule-following without considering what is truly needed for a just world. Interdependence without love is a kind of codependency. Generosity without love is just transactional. Pluralism without love is an endless series of lectures with no chance for deeper engagement. Equity without love just serves to flatten the stories and lived experiences of others. Oh, this is hard. The spiritual discipline of love was never going to be the easiest path. We need to move, and we need to be still. We need to plant orchards whose fruit we will never taste. We need to be ready to receive what life presents us with and to imagine new ways of being in loving relationships with other people, other beings, other places. Whatever I see is plenty, abundance. I am the skin of water the wind plays over. I am petal, feather, stone. Let us reflect on the beauty of all that is around us. Let us reflect on the beauty of all that is within us. On this equinox day, let us pause in our harvest. Let us praise the stillness that prepares us for action. We are petal, feather, stone. We are abundance. We are the movement of love in the world. So may it be. We now invite you into generosity as we collect our weekly offering. What you donate goes to support the mission and vision and daily work and well-being of this church. If you do not have cash with you, I will direct you to uuroanoke.org. There is a donations and giving. We have made a QR code and haven't quite gotten it into our slide deck and into our orders of service yet, but we know that not everybody carries cash, so there are other ways to throw a few dollars towards the good work of this church and community. And the ushers will now gratefully accept your donations.
Good morning. I'm Terry Smith, here on behalf of the Caring Committee. One of the many things we do to serve our congregation is to help you share the joys and concerns, personal achievements, or items within your own personal circumstances. You can write them in the Caring Journal, which you can find normally on the altar here or in the hallway on the podium. You can also send your news to a member of the Caring Committee or to the church office to be included in our Sunday announcements. And I will, in case you hadn't noticed, I will point out that along with lighting candles for what you carry in your heart, a silent joy or concern, we're fortunate that Rev. Jen now offers a pastoral prayer at this time to address the larger issues, heavy matters of the world that may weigh on us, and we can acknowledge them through the words of the minister. So today, I want to express, on behalf of Hallie Eichert and her husband, Eric, they are truly grateful for the wonderful care and support that our congregation has shown to her uncle, Tim Andriano, during his major surgery and recovery. They've made a generous donation to the church general fund as a heartfelt thank you gift. And if you don't know the latest on Tim, he had a fracture of his right tibia on Thursday this week. It's the same leg that he fractured before. They took him to Roanoke Memorial Hospital, Carilion, where he had surgery on Friday. A plate was applied to the fracture. He's relatively pain-free and demonstrates good appetite. He's also upbeat and cheerful. According to his surgical team, discharge plans will not be discussed until he goes through a physical therapy and occupational therapy evaluation. And they had hoped to start physical therapy with him yesterday. He's currently in. If Tim being chipper, I mean, attitude is everything, he proves it. Our beloved Peggy Cooper has been diagnosed with stage 4 esophageal cancer, which is also in her lungs. She has chosen to forego invasive treatment. Her sons and grandsons are coming from Colorado at Thanksgiving, and Peggy and her daughter Christine are working together to finalize her papers and wishes. Because of the nature of this condition, Peggy requests no visitors or food. She would love cards if you feel inspired. And finally, on a cheerful note, everybody wave to YouTube again. Happy birthday to Jim Brochart. He and his wife, Kay, are with us in their YouTube glory. And now I invite you to come up. We'll have a line on both sides of the podium to light a silent candle of joy and concern for those things you carry in your heart.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you, everyone. I want to light one candle for everybody who's joining us on YouTube that can't be here in person to light their own. And I have a little note here. I'm glad that Jim Broshirt's birthday got put into the lifelines. Jim and I haven't met. He sent me this email a few weeks ago. I won't read the whole thing, but Jim, I want to have your words here too. I'm one of those ancient members who look in every Sunday morning via YouTube. So good morning, Jim and Kay. But he pointed out that Sunday the 22nd of September is his birthday. He is turning 86. So happy birthday, Jim. You put it in the email, so I hope it was okay to share that. But Jim, as you may or may not know, is also a poet, and since I love poetry, he sent me a poem he wrote called September's Child. So I'm going to share it right now. Born on the autumnal equinox, I've straddled both seasons, attuned to summer's heat while frost invades my years. During this brief anniversary, I pause to catch my breath as memories of sunshined days drift and melt away. The celestial clock won't hesitate. In just another heartbeat, I'll resume my measured tilt away from day toward night. Thank you, Jim. I still got the prayer and meditation. I invite you now, as we at this pausing point in our service for this important shared ritual, for a time of prayer and meditation. Take a seat that feels comfortable to you. Close your eyes if that is comfortable. Soften your focus. Just let yourself pause and be present in this moment. We know that world is turning fast. We know there is so much that surrounds us that is in motion always. We know the world is full of strife, is full of war, is full of poverty and injustice. And yet, the world turns, the seasons change. Our lives progress through all of these challenges, named and unnamed, the joys and sorrows within every human heart, as present as the sun, even though sometimes we feel that absence as well. So as we consider our so busy world, a world so full of things we feel we cannot change as just one person, we rest in our faith community, reminding ourselves that the way to get over that is to stop being one person, to be together, to be in relation even as our worlds tilt on their own busy way. We take this time to pause, to remember, to cry out at the world's injustice, and to cultivate that well of joy within our hearts. So may it be.
So many of you will remember, if you were around 5 years ago, that we formed a partnership with Williams Memorial Baptist Church based on the pledge to end racism. That was before any of us knew anything about something called COVID. But COVID kind of got in the way. And this is the 5-year anniversary and our opportunity to reconnect with our brothers and sisters at Williams Memorial and to strengthen our partnership. So next Sunday, September 29, there will be no service here. If you come to the parking lot so you can carpool over to Williams Memorial Baptist Church. The service will begin at 10:30, not 11, 10:30. And the address is, and more details are found in your order of service. There will not be a live stream for this service, So if it's possible for you, please plan to join us in this shared service in person, and the racial justice team will have a table at coffee hour to provide more details. Speaking of the ongoing work of the Pledge to End Racism, consider signing up for this fall's workshop on Saturday, September 26 and Saturday, November 2. Please visit that table during coffee hour as well to learn more.
It's October 26th.
I'm sorry, what did I say? October 26 and Saturday, November 2. I'm sorry. And this is not about trying to teach you not to be racist. It's trying to help you learn how to be actively anti-racist. Today, after the service at 12:30 in the Olin Room, Rev. Jen will hold a Meet the Minister small group. There's also a Zoom option at 2:30. For 1 hour, we'll gather to talk more in-depth than is possible during coffee hour. There will be other opportunities in October, and if you are ever interested in having a one-on-one meeting with Rev. Jen, please email her at revjen@uuroanoke.org. More announcements can be found in the weekly email newsletter. If you're not receiving the newsletter and would like to, please contact admin@uuroanoke.org. And especially for those of you who don't have the order of service because you're watching us online, please make sure you're receiving that email newsletter every week. And now Sarah Divers is making her way up to give a brief announcement on the auction raffle, and following that, we'll have a few words from our endowment committee by Lowell Inhorn.
Hi there, I'm Sarah Divers from the Auction Committee, and I know I'm going to see a lot of you at the auction on November 9th, right? Yes, but we have a couple of things we need to tend to before the auction. Number one, we need your donations, okay? Maybe an event, something fun, something exciting, a dinner, or a service. We have a whole list of services you can choose from. We have an auction table with some sweet treats for you as a prelude to all our sweet items that we'll have. So come by and visit us. And the other thing that we want to announce, raffles. Well, it's not changing for me, but that's okay. Rev Jen is going to raffle a sermon. So whoever wins it will work in collaboration, and that could be fun. Just think of all the exciting topics and kind of off-the-wall topics we could have. But she's got to be in agreement. You know, it's going to be a collaborative effort. Then we have 50-50. 50% of the proceeds go to the church, 50 to the winner. And then we have Lucky You with all kinds of prizes. You can have a seat at a really fun event that the board is giving or the auction committee is giving, or you get $50 credit on your auction bill or $100 credit on your auction bill. So again, come and visit us at the auction table. Get your donations in by October 1st to Sherry Bernath, she's behind the camera, because we really, really need them to make this a successful auction. This is one of our biggest fundraisers, and it's also a fun-raiser. So visit us at the table. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Lowell, representing the Endowment Committee. So, a show of hands, how many of you are aware that UUCR has an endowment fund? Wow, excellent. How many of you have contributed to the endowment fund? Yeah, okay. And show of hands, who knows why we have an endowment fund? Okay, good, excellent. So the purpose, for those of you who don't know, the purpose of an endowment fund is to provide long-term financial support to support the mission of this church. And in contrast to gifts to the annual generosity campaign or other immediate needs of the church, such as the recent boiler repair, contributions to the endowment fund are preserved in perpetuity. Only the investment revenue is spent. So, an endowment contribution is truly the gift that keeps on giving. It's a legacy gift to future generations of UUs here in Roanoke. So who can give? Anyone. We welcome all gifts, both large and small. When to give? Anytime, whenever the Spirit moves you. And for those of you who have wills or estate plans, we hope that you have remembered the UUCR endowment fund in those documents. Why does the endowment fund need your contribution? Currently, our endowment fund stands at about 58% of what is needed for a church of our size. How to donate? You can visit the UUCR website and look under Donations and Giving for more information. My fellow endowment trustees and I will be available after church at coffee hour to answer any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Bill, for your service today. Thank you, James and Sherry, and thank you, Sarah and Lowell. Teamwork makes the dream work. We're all doing this together. I'll invite Bill to come up to extinguish our chalice at this end of service. Again, echoed in Unitarian Universalist churches, congregations, and faith communities across the country and world. Although the flame here in our chalice in the sanctuary is extinguished, may the light of our shared faith go forth in your hearts this week.
So We Go, there I am, which was written by Patrick DeSimio for the UUA Association for the autumnal equinox. And members of the choir are going to sing along, and you're welcome to sing along too, but the chorus is very catchy. Yeah, you guys can sing. Come as the summer turns toward autumn, come as the long night stars climb higher, come as time's unceasing turning wheels us round the harvest fire. So we go, and the daylight towards the night. So we go, turning on through life. Come as the sun turns bearded barley from soft green to brazen bronze. Come as the sunflowers rest their heads in the piece of slumber that spins on. So we go from the daylight toward the night. So we go, turning on through life. Come as mistakes turn into wisdom. Come as the rash becomes the sage. Come as the blooms of youth grow into the feast and seeds of our autumn days. So we go from the daylight toward the night. So we go, turning on through life. So we go from the daylight toward the night. So we go, turning on through life.
That was beautiful. Thank you. So we go. As we head into our week with that shared flame of our faith kindled in our hearts, As the days grow shorter and we turned to that nighttime, the time of year when the night grows longer, know that we need that restful time to grow. We need the stillness that prepares us for action. Go into your weeks with peace in your hearts and love at the center of all you do. So may it be.
Thanks, y'all. Thanks. Yeah. Yay, thank you. Did you like the song?